La 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 la. Screen peeking. Bop bop bop.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 50 of Screen Peeking, a monthly podcast where my cousin Ziggy and I get together to talk about video games and anything video game related. On today's episode, we're going to get a little review of Ollie Ollie World from Zig, and we're also going to talk about our 2022 Metacritic game predictions. Kind of get some of our predicted scores in there and kind of go through that, so now that's exciting. Um, so let's just start it off as we always do, Zig, with what we've been playing and what you've been up to this last month.
Yeah, so I've kind of only been playing Ollie Ollie World, to be honest. That's not entirely true. I finished Tesla and I finished our playthrough of The Last of Us together, which was pretty cool. Like the first we finished our playthrough of the second game. Yeah. Which liked it even better the second time around, which is really cool. I always love when that happens. And like before, I would say like whether I like the first or second game more, I would kind of be like, yeah, they both got their merits. But at this point, I feel like I can quite definitively say that I like The Last of Us 2 more than The Last of Us 1. Like just in the way that it hits. Like I get having played them back to back twice now. The Last of Us 1, I remember it's like, yeah, it's pretty good. It's a good game. Whereas The Last of Us 2 is the one that sits in my mind as like something that is above most games that I play,
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it even more the second time. I forget if I talked about this, but I played it on definitely a higher difficulty than I did the first time. And I think that made it a lot more fun to me. Like it took a bit for me to get into that mindset of like the almost Hotline Miami-esque, like doing a level over and over again, just like getting used to the patterns and like almost that puzzle game type approach of like figuring out how to get a solution to the problem that is this encounter, as opposed to just sort of fighting your way through. And that was really fun. I found like, because I'd do something and I'd die, be like, okay, shit, well, that's definitely not it. And it would sometimes take like 6-7 attempts in just one area to get through. But it was so satisfying finding that like key solution to get through, or having something that I was like, fuck it. Like, I doubt this will work, but it seems like it might be fun. And then it does end up working like way better than I anticipated. It's, yeah, a lot of fun.
Like
A lot of moments that were not fun at all. And just brutal fucking game. But, yeah, heavily enjoyed
I love
my time
that
with it again.
because I was playing it on a harder difficulty. It was whatever that grounded mode is, and I just couldn't get past a certain part, so I stopped playing it. Like, but I know what you mean. Like, you're like, with what gear I have, like, how can I stagger all the enemies because so I can get that critical like death blow, basically.
Yeah. It gets you in this weird flow. I have definitely noticed a lot more about the game having played it the second time around. Like I remember I heard someone compare the gameplay to Hotline Miami once, which first time I played it, I didn't really understand. But this time, having done a replay of Hotline Miami pretty recently, and then having also been playing this kind of at the same time, like, no, that flow is like exactly the same. The way you're like waiting around a corner for a guy to come by, taking him out, moving on to the next, like that very methodical, like fast and aggressive, but also like thought put into every single movement that you make, I think is just such a fun flow state. Like it does almost, kind of feel like a really, really high budget version of what Hotline Miami did. That's dope. That's cool. But yeah, other than that, mostly just Ollie Ollie World, which we'll talk about in a sec. I'll give my review of that. But what have you been playing?
Mostly just Sekiro, honestly. So I screwed up my my playthrough, right? And like my randomized run by like resetting the randomizer and all that stuff. So I'm not going to be able to finish that run, unfortunately, but I've just had the itch to like keep playing the game and trying to get all the achievements, and the game screwed me over because I guess I had those mods files in the system. I imagine that's why my Steam achievements didn't pop when I beat a certain boss, but I need an achievement for beating that boss legitimately, so I've like fully deleted all the files, wiped the game, reinstalled it, and I've been playing through, and man, I've gotten so good at it, and I love feeling like, oh wow, my skill from now, even just like comparing now to a week ago when I was playing the randomized run, and I'm watching video like the gameplay back when I'm editing it, and I'm like, oh wow, I suck. Like, why am I doing that? And I'm like, but then if I see videos from before that, I'm like, wow, I'm so much better at that point. And it's just kind of cool seeing the progression and me just going, wow, I've actually learned this. Like, not even just the bosses, but like all these different enemies. They have so many different moves, and now I'm like, I just know it like a little. Like a tune, you know, you get your little ocarina tune in Ocarina of Time, right? And you're like, do 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 do. You know the thing, and it's just like that for all the enemies, right? You just know which timing to use for parrying them, and I'm just having a blast with that. So honestly, that and I'm actually playing Mass Effect right now on the Xbox. I've decided it's just going to be my like slow, very like no rush to play through the game. Gonna enjoy going through 1, 2, 3. It's on that the remastered collection that's on Game Pass, and so I've been playing that on the Xbox just to go through it again, because I've only played each one of them once and fully through, but it was back when it came out, however many years ago. So I'm talking like back when I lived at my parents and before I graduated. So I'm like, this is cool to go back to and see what this game actually is like with a different view on it and a different lens through a different lens. So that's been a lot of fun.
How do they hold up? Because like my experience with Mass Effect, I played Mass Effect 1, bounced off it, like didn't finish it. I wouldn't say bounced off it. I got a chunk into it, just didn't finish it. And then I beat Mass Effect 2 for some reason. And I again started 3 and then didn't finish it. Because 2 is like the only one that's like properly clicked for me for whatever reason. I think I did play them quite late. I played them probably like 4 years ago now. But yeah, like Mass Effect 1 and 3 to me for some reason just felt like they didn't age super well. So I'm curious about like the remastered collection, your opinion. Like, does it do much to like change that, do you think? Like how old did it feel to you?
So I've only played the first one so far because I'm going through in sequence, but it feels old, and I really am not like, I want to just skip to 2. I don't remember, like, because it's all one long story. It's like I don't remember what parts happened in which game. It's such a clusterfuck in my mind. But when I think back, I know my impressions, like how I felt at the time was 2 was my favorite, and 2 was the one I was attached to the most and the one I liked the most. So I'm excited to get to 2 and see why I felt that way. But 1, I think the biggest negative for me with 1 is the running around the empty space and just trying to go over, talk to this thing. I love the dialogue, and I really I don't mind the combat. It's very old and janky, but like I can get past that. It's still fun progressing and leveling up my character, putting in like skill points into the different team members you want to bring with you, and deciding on which ones you want to bring for different reasons, having that rock paper scissors of different like elemental types that are strong against different like types of enemies, robotics, and like, you know, you have your tech biotics and like your soldier type of like teammates, and like all that stuff's really cool. I really like that a lot, but I find you move so slowly. And then like you have your big open areas like this, whatever it's called. I was going to say Citadel. I don't know if that's right or not, but you have the big areas. You have the big planets that are like super vast, and like 3 nodes or 4 things to check on the planets. You're driving over this uneven terrain, and it's really annoying to drive on, and you're getting stuck like vertical, and you're flipping upside down. And then when you're running around on foot, you have like, you can hold A to sprint. Even if you're not in combat, you have like 2 seconds of sprint before you're out of stamina, and then you have to wait for it. And I'm like, why? Like, come on, just let me get around. They have fast travel points. So on this, I don't know if it's like just on next gen, or maybe it's just like on faster hard drives now, but it loads super fast. But still, like, if I just want to run around the corner and check out this little like plaza or this shop, I find very, very irritating to move around in the game. And you just wish you could teleport everywhere. That's my biggest criticism, but otherwise, you know, those are the things I also like about it. So
yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I've thought about going back and playing Mass Effect 1, like finishing Mass Effect 1 and going through the trilogy again, but that honestly is kind of swaying me from it, just with like how much good stuff there is now. And I feel like
it just feels like you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Part of it might also be like, I kind of said this about Dead Space as well when I played it, of like stuff that was really fresh and revolutionary at the time has been has inspired like tons of like dozens of games at this point from those same systems. So what felt fresh back then is like just kind of bog standard now. So I kind of felt some of that when I was playing it before, of like the RPG systems and like the especially like the old Paramount Renegade thing is now kind of like trite and annoying to me, where like I don't want just a binary morality system, I want something more complex. And so having that just feels kind of old.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's like on one hand I do want something more complex, but I also love like flat out like you're like, am I going into this being douchebag shepherd, or am I gonna be like the angel that comes in and saves everyone? Because it is fun being an ass in that game too. Like I've
the
chuckled
like
out
iconic
loud.
Mass Effect 2, yeah, the like Mass Effect 2 reporter punch scene where you can just come in, swing in. It is fun.
Yeah. So like I want more complexity, but I also want it to be clear what the bad decisions are if I want to be that character or good.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. Let's get into your review of Ollie Ollie World, because I haven't played it and I'm excited to hear what you think of it. And if I have any questions, I'll definitely let you know. But why don't you take it away and let us know what you think of this game? When did it come out?
I fucking love Ollie Ollie World. When did it come out? I think February 8th. So I've had like a little over a week to play it. I haven't finished all the levels yet. Mostly just because of time, but I think this is by far the best entry in the Ollie Ollie series. As someone who played Ollie Ollie 1 and 2 and really, really, really liked those games, I think it takes what those games did well, which is like they had a pretty cool style and like really good tight skating mechanics, and then just makes the style even better, makes the mechanics even better, and then just adds on a lot of layers of just video game on top of that, where it has like fun characters and kind of a story now to go through, which gives you more motivation to like just beat the game, and there's like character customization, which is kind of a surface level thing, but I think it adds so much just motivation to play it, where when there is really cool like outfits and stuff that you can get, and out like clothing is the reward for most of the challenges in the game, which is the most of the content, similar to Tony Hawk or something. And so you're playing levels, you're doing these challenges, you're motivated to do that because you get outfits that honestly I think are really cool and really stylish, which is good. Like I felt more connected with like my custom character in this game than I do with most, I think, just because that's like the main avenue of progression is like being stylish. And I don't know, it's cool. I've been digging it so hard with that. I think it's I would make the comparison to Forza Horizon honestly here, in terms of like Forza Motorsport being the great simulation racing game it is, but kind of clinical in a way. Like if you're into racing games, you're going to like it. If you're not into racing games, not going to be for you. And the older Ollie Ollie games, I would say, are pretty similar. But this is one where, like, I totally recommend this to, like, you or just anybody who likes fast-paced games, because it's super fun. It's super tough at the end, but I think it does a good job of not being too hard and having a nice sort of scale to it. I've been, just having an absolute blast with it. There's a reason why it's been, like, the only game I'm playing. And I think its difficulty is something I do want to touch on, because I think it handles it in such a clever way, where simply finishing all the levels is tricky, but like I think anybody can do it with like not that much effort. Like it might take a few tries near the end of the game, but it's not that bad. But where the difficulty scales is with the challenges and score stuff, where I'm at this point now where there's no way in hell I'm beating the top scores on all these things, and there's no way in hell I'm beating all these challenges, because they just get ludicrously difficult in a way that like I see that and I want to get good enough to do that, and so I'm going through and I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to get these tricks down. I'm trying to like get more precise with how I'm doing things. And the way that the levels branch, it teases you with it too, where there's different routes through the different levels, and sometimes the way to get to that different route is a pretty tricky maneuver. And so I'll try it a few times, and then eventually maybe give up or move on. But it teases you with it. It's like, you could be here. There's probably something cool over here. You could get challenges at close or whatever. And then like gives you that motivation to want to get better and keep moving forward. It is such a blast.
Yeah, I really like the art style. That's the only thing I've been able to really see so far. But that looks really cool to me. I really dig that kind of style. The gameplay itself, you're saying it's like challenging, but you can get through it if you like give it enough time and practice, pretty much. So you said it's just levels, right? Is there like couch co-op or any like cooperative things in it, or is it just like a single player straight up game? Do you know?
So there is multiplayer stuff. I don't think it's really like couch type things. Mostly what it is it's like arcade style stuff. So it's leaderboards, it's score attacks. But they do some clever ways to integrate that, I think. Where they have their like multiplayer mode basically, or the main implementation of it is it has every day, I think, there's a different course that it like automatically generates procedurally. And then it matches you with like 8 or so people, and then for that day is like you want to be on the top of this leaderboard, which I think is really cool because it's like 8 people and you're just battling them, trying to keep yourself on the top of it. So if you're on top of it, like logging into the game a couple times a day like I was for a while, you're playing this game and I get, like 300,000 points. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that's an awesome score. I'm happy with that. I'm at the top. And then I come back on a few hours later and like 2 people have passed me, like, what? Like, how'd you even do that? And then I just like try to get the course just like that little bit better, like get it all in one combo and all that, add a few more tricks in there, and then I'm able to like top them again, and like just that back and forth battle I think is really fun. And similar to like one of the main praises I have again for Forza Horizon is exactly that, the way it manages to tie like multiplayer competition into the stuff that isn't a traditional multiplayer. Like in Forza, you might do a speed trap and it's like, oh well, that was cool, but like your friend did it faster than you. And so you're like, fuck, like I don't want to be behind him. So you do it again and again and again, and then you do it better than them. And you're like, oh, I can feel satisfied. And then you get a notification later that you got beat or something like fuck, and you have to go back and do it again. But that sort of competition I think is so fun, and there's a lot of encouragement for that in here, which is cool.
Cool. I don't have anything else to ask about it.
I don't have a ton more to say than that, honestly, because it is definitely a simple game, but for what it is, like the $20-$30 to get it, absolutely worth it, I would say, if you're interested at all. And if you don't want to buy it, like it's not on Game Pass yet. I feel like there's a good chance it will be there, because I think Ollie Ollie 2 is already on Game Pass, I want to say. I might be wrong on that one.
I don't know.
But I think it was at one point, either the first or second game. Or maybe like Games with Gold or something like that. But if it does come there, like it's one of those games that I think is a must try, where just play a little bit, I'm sure you'll get hooked. It's absolutely worth a download.
Cool. Well, should we get into our predictions then?
Yeah, let's do it.
So you got this nice little list together, a bunch of games. Where'd you pull that from again?
I got it from GameSpot.com.
Right.
They have an article that's just every game coming out in 2022. So I pulled out ones that I thought were significant. There's a mix of a lot of AAA releases, some smaller releases that I think are still significant in the grand scheme of things. So we're going to do it the same we did last year, right? Basically just guessing what we think will be the Metascore on PC. If there isn't a PC release, like if it's exclusive or whatever, then what's then? Well, usually if it's not on PC, it's a console exclusive, so we'll just go with whatever that is. Whichever one is closer wins that game.
Maybe I should have asked you this before, but I didn't even think of it until now. Did we even do a results for our last year one though? Are we jumping the gun a bit?
I think we are jumping the gun, actually.
I don't think we did our results for the previous one.
All right, so let's rewind the clock a little bit here. We can just quickly say who won, right?
I know it was you.
We can
we don't
maybe
have
edit
to.
this out.
Maybe this was
we
intentional.
don't have to do this course.
Here, let me pull it up. Here,
1,
I
2,
got it
3,
here.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
You were right with Hitman 3. You were right with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. You won The Medium. I won Little Nightmares 2. Prince of Persia did not come
Can I
out.
stop you for a sec?
What?
I don't want to gloat here, but I think it's a little bit funny that you guessed a 91.
Shut up.
Medium.
Shut up. Hey,
That's very optimistic.
what can I say? I love a good horror game, and I was hoping it would be. Yeah, then Returnal, you won that one as well. I won It Takes Two. You won Monster Hunter Rise. You won Nier Replicant. I won Deathloop. No. Yeah, I won Deathloop. You won Back 4 Blood. You won 12 Minutes. You won Far Cry 6. I won Halo Infinite. No, wait. Is that right? Yes. I don't know what I was looking at there. I keep reading this wrong. I won Kenner Bridge of Spirits. I won Resident Evil Village. You won Solar Ash. I won Death's Door. So don't even have to count. I can clearly see by the colors here. You won.
Yeah, I think it's 10-7, but it's pretty close. Pretty close. I think. So
7 out of 10.
yeah,
For Nick.
I don't know what I was gonna say there.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into 2022 now. Let's look forward into the
We're
future. With the first game that is not out yet because the reviews for Horizon Forbidden West just came out, and that would be cheating. But the first game for our predictions is going to be Elden Ring. Nick, what are you thinking on this one?
Well, I'm going to say 95. We were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, and we're talking about how, I think you said Breath of the Wild has like a 97, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it won't be quite at that level, but I do think this game has a really good chance of getting a much bigger audience, and I think that, a lot of people are going to give it a 10. I think a lot of people are going to give it a 9, but more so, you got to get those 10s to get that number up there, and I feel pretty confident with it getting up there for sure. Maybe 95 might be a little too high, but we'll see. I really think it could do it.
Yeah,
What about you?
yeah, it's rare a game gets into the 90s. Like, I don't think last year we had one at all be in the 90s. No, that's not true. I think like Flight Sim or like Age of Empires or something is in there, but Elden Ring, I think, is one of those few games based off everything we've seen that does have this stuff. And when you're thinking most review outlets have a FromSoft guy at this point, and said FromSoft guy is probably going to be the one doing the review for this and will probably fucking love it. And I think FromSoft games are also so mainstream at this point that what people kind of usually say towards them, like, oh, they're more niche, so like, I don't know if it will get to that, 90 Metacritic level. I think at this point, that's just not true. Like, Sekiro won Game of the Year at the Game Awards 2019. And since then, I feel like it's just gone more and more popular. More and more people are getting into it. And this seems like the most accessible one yet. So, yeah, I think there's a very good chance it'll break into that. My guess is... like 92 or 93, I want to say. Like 95
Make a
is
decision.
high.
I know it is. I'm
gonna say 93.
Okay.
On this one.
Yeah, I'm going to be floored if it doesn't get 90. Like, I know I'm saying 95, but I'm expecting at least 90 here, and I will be so shocked if it doesn't. Just based off of what I've played so far, being like a small chunk of the map, and hoping that it continues past that, I'll be shocked. And we could talk about this forever, because I would happily talk about this for hours. Talk about that game. What do we have next, Zig?
So our next one is Gran Turismo 7. Let me look up what GT Sport got real quick. Metacritic. Gran Turismo Sport for the PS4 got a 75, which makes sense. I think because it's one of the more like simi racing games, and sim racing fans are like one of the hardest to please audiences out there, I'd say. Like, I've been kind of active in like the Forza subreddit and stuff like that in the past, and those people like will complain about fucking anything. Full shade to that community for the record.
I
I
have a
don't know,
friend like that.
yeah. I think even if this game is like great, I still think reviewers gonna be like, it's just not as good as a set of Corza. It's just not as good as whatever. I think that 75 is kind of on the money. I'm gonna say 70. I think it's gonna be a bit higher than GT Sports. I think that one was kind
Me
of a
too.
miss in the franchise, from what I understand. I'm gonna say 79 is my guess.
Oh, that's so close to mine. So I'm gonna put mine up. I was gonna say 80. I think that like visuals will bump it up still. I think audio could bump it. I think if they have accessibility options, that'll bump it up. I think I'm gonna say 81.
81. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is Triangle Strategy, which is the Square Enix like Octopath Traveler art style sort of tactical
The game
RPG.
that our eyes glazed over when they showed it at the last Nintendo Direct.
I don't know what to say for this one, because Octopath Traveler, I feel like people either really loved it or really were bored by it.
Yeah, I think it's my turn to go first.
It has an 83 on Metacritic. Okay.
Yeah. I want to say, I feel just comfortable saying 76, right what I consider
76.
in the middle there. I think 75 is like a safe guess, so I'm just gonna go.
I kind of feel like it's gonna, like, Octopath Traveler being an 83. I kind of feel like this could. I feel like it could be either higher or lower, because I think they've learned a lot from Octopath, and I think hopefully we'll be able to sidestep some of the like game design misses in that game. But lower, I think, because at this point, the thing that made Octopath Traveler so striking, which is the art style, like we've seen it before, both from that game and also from all the remakes that Square is putting out with it. So I think losing its novelty could bump it down. I'm gonna say 82. I'm gonna be the optimistic one on this one.
I think you're right though with the observation of that art style is why I almost purchased it back when it came out. I was really close to doing that. It just ended up again being like, I don't really have the money to do that right now, or I choose a different game over it. And like now as time has gone on, I've gotten less and less interested in it because I've gotten used to that art style, and then I start to think about what it would be like to play it, and it's just not for me.
Yeah, no. What was your number again?
76.
76, all right. Next one is a very anticipated little indie game called Tunic. We've been seeing this forever.
Never release date? I'm just gonna look it up.
I think it does.
March 16th. Oh, that's exciting. I forgot about that.
That's fucking soon. That's a month from now. Wow.
Another
so
one.
Tunic, if you're not familiar, it's the one that's like, it's very Legend of Zelda. It's you start as a cute little fox, has a nice little art style. Honestly, I think this one won't hit as hard as people want it to. I'm gonna say, I don't think it's gonna be bad, but I think it's gonna be not mind blowing. So I'm gonna say like 77. That's my guess.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this, and this is so hard for me not to like. I keep voting with like my feelings, but on my like, I do think this will be a solid game. I just think it'll be, yeah, like you said, like it just won't be up to what other people are expecting. I feel like you just got to keep your expectations in check. But if I was reviewing it and I get my expectations in check, and I really, really enjoyed what I got to play, I mean, it's what, one person making it, so
I think so. Yeah, it's a small team.
But yeah, small team regardless. It's like you'd have to give. I can't really compare them to Breath of the Wild. You know what I mean? Like, you just can't. No. But if they're not going to score down, this is hard. I don't know, because like I could, if I was reviewing it, I would rate it high if I found it really fun and really good, regardless of length of the game, and if I felt like everything just works really well as a whole. So I'm going to say 80.
80? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is an interesting one. Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin.
100. Just kidding.
I feel like this is gonna be one of those games that like it just can't like, regardless of how much you enjoy it, it's not a game that will review well. But it's also one of those games where I think you should probably just ignore the reviews. I'm gonna say it's gonna get like a. I might even bump below 70. Honestly, I'm gonna say like a 68. I'm gonna say.
These reviews
Especially
are going to cause chaos.
I think especially because it's coming out right after Elden Ring. Like, people are going to play Elden Ring and go, holy fuck, this was amazing. And then jump into this, which is in the same genre, and go, yeah, it's all right.
Was that a Mario?
To the, like...
It's all right.
In addition to, like the fucking wild story that it's going for and all that. So I don't know if it'll hit too hard. 68 feels right to me. I might be too low on that one, but
I think it's gotta, like, I don't know. Team Ninja does a good job making their games. I think that's the right dev, right? Now I'm kidding myself. Yeah, they do a great job. I mean, I really like Neo, so I feel like gameplay carries a game, right? Regardless of anything else. I feel like score would get knocked down if people just found the story ridiculous or characters dumb or whatever. But I think if the game is fun to play, I feel like you can't get less than a 7 or a 70, right? So I'm going to say, not even to be like, I'm not going to do 70 just to be like edging just above you. I'm going to go on the high end. I'm going to say 77. Let's just make it interesting. Yeah. Enough points apart that it could be like right in the middle there, and see who edges out the other.
All right. Next one is Ghostwire Tokyo. I don't know what to say for this.
You're more excited than I am for this one. Yeah,
but this is one of these games that like I could see me really liking, but not necessarily clicking with like critics.
I'm gonna swap with you on this one. I think this one's gonna be the 68.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me, honestly. I could see this game being a 68. I could see it being an 86 too. Like, I could absolutely see either side of the range. Oof. I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm gonna vote with my heart on this one. I'm gonna say 83. Was yours 68?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I'm gonna do 69.
All right. 69. Funny number. I gotta respect it. All right. Next one is another one I don't really know. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Nick, what do you think on this one?
I think it's gonna like actually do pretty good. I don't want to look up any other games on Metacritic. I don't want to use like other scores to influence mine. Because I just think it's more fun to purely guess. But like I would be really curious to find out like what Yoshi what the yarn one. You know what I mean? Like those kind of like that type of a game that's like it's out, it does good, but I can't remember what the scores are for those. So I'm gonna say I'm feeling it's going to do a good job. It looks really fun, even though it's not one for me. I think it actually looks like a great game, and I'm going to say 87.
87?
Yeah.
Dang. I don't know. It's hard because I feel like Kirby and the Yoshi games, like you're saying, like they don't usually like hit with critics, but this does look different. I'm going to say 76 out of spite because of
you hate the gum.
Car.
I
hate stupid fucking mouthful mode. Get the shit out of this game. That's a spite vote for me.
If you were reviewing it, you're just like talking about how great it is, and at the end, but it has mouthful mode. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, he did swallow a car, and it does look disgusting. I would never let my kid near this game. Yeah, it's a 3 out of 10 for me. All right. Next game, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, which is the like Dungeons and Dragons style spin-off game in the Borderlands franchise. Nick, what are you thinking on this one?
I think it's your turn to go first.
You think so? All right. So I feel like Borderlands has been. I feel like people like it, but I feel like critically, at least, it hasn't definitely been on a bit of a downward trend. Uh, I'm gonna go low on this one again. I'm gonna
Hmm.
say like 72 is my guess.
I think low 70s is accurate. I after playing Borderlands 3 and me being like at the time was like a huge Borderlands fan, I was beyond hyped with Jesse. We were so excited for 3 to come out, and then we played it, and he definitely connected with it more than I did. Like he kept playing it after I played through the game like 2 times or 3 times, and had a blast. But there's something missing now, and I don't even know where to put my finger on it. But like, because like the mission structures are
Mm.
fun, the leveling up's fun, getting abilities, skill points, and all that stuff's fun. But something is missing where it's just like I don't know. I don't know what it is, but just something about playing the game. Maybe it's the mood or the characteristics of everybody. Like I don't know. Like just like the whole tone of the game is just kind of off putting, and I don't enjoy it as much anymore. But I did before.
It's very
Some,
of its era for sure.
yeah, yeah, and this seems to have the same kind of thing. And I just don't think this game is going to vibe with a lot of people when they see what else is out there and like what else they can be playing. And I think when they start comparing the quality. Oh, did I lose you? Oh no, you're just sitting
Oh
super
no.
still. Holy cow, that was
Yeah.
amazing. I'm impressed. Anyways, what I just agree with like the low score here. 72 makes it tough to not be like just on either side of you, but I'll say 75.
All right.
Just
All right. Next one.
ooh.
Weird West. A hyped one. A very hyped one for us, I think. It's your turn to go first on this.
Yeah, I'm nervous about this one. I'm excited for it. I mean, I think this is going to be a really hey, Taylor peeking her head in. Sorry. we I think this is going to be a really fun game. Um but I'm curious to see how much like how well it works cuz there's so many systems in place. How buggy is it? I could see broken saves happening, and I if that does happen, that could be really detrimental to a review score. If people reviewing this game lose their progress or they have to restart or whatever the heck, like that ruined Prey way back. People like hated like gave Prey such
True.
bad
Yeah.
reviews because it was so broken. And I believe one of the guys like the main like one of the CEO or founders of Arcane was working on Prey, and I think after Prey he split off and he built this studio with a couple other guys and other people, right? And so now, I mean, not saying that they would do that again. It's not like all on him or anything like that, but like
Mhm.
hopefully they've learned from that whole experience that he was a part of, right? And to know about that. And I think that with them having beta testers in there and to like try out a bunch of things, they seem to be really open to feedback and community. I think that's really cool. And so like that's what makes me go I don't know, because if it's broken, that could really drop the score regardless of how fun the game is. If it works and there's just funny bugs, then this could be a really special awesome game. I'm going to be on the positive optimistic side, and I'm going to say 88.
88. All right.
That's
Yeah,
really
I
high,
don't know.
I
I
know,
think
but
I
I'm
think
going for
Weird
it.
West is gonna sit like similar to that like the Outer Wilds camp of a game that some people
Oh,
fucking love, but for a lot of people it's just like, yeah, I mean, it was fun. I had a decent time. And who don't
right.
like the things that make it really special, I don't think will click with everybody. Um and because of that, also like indie games just get scored lower usually, kind of for that reason. They're a little more niche, as like especially games like this. So I looked up Outer Wilds again. My second favorite game of all time on some days. My favorite game of all time. 85 on Metacritic. Um, I think this will sit in a similar spot. I'm thinking 80s. I think maybe a little bit lower. I'm gonna say 83 is my guess. Um, but yeah, just what I was saying. I think for a lot of reviewers, this is going to be like a 7 or an 8, and then there's going to be the odd outlet that's like, holy shit, this is a 10.
Hmm. I think. Wait, you don't have my score on there. Oh,
88,
okay,
right?
there we go.
You said
Yeah, 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 yeah.
sweet. All right, Next one is Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. I
didn't even know this game was coming out.
Yeah. Well, because this looks very different than the other Lego games. That's why I put it on here. Like, it looks like a big upgrade.
No, I did see a
on
clip
the
of it.
formula. Yeah, it looks like a proper action game with like proper game mechanics, which is kind of funny to say. But I don't know. But even despite that, I still feel like there's going to be, like, even if it's amazing for a Lego game, I still think it won't necessarily be like the craziest thing on planet Earth. So I'm gonna say like 82 on it.
Oh, that's way higher than I was expecting. I'm going to say 75.
Okay. All right, next one. I put this on here for you, Nick, is
thanks,
Salt and
man.
Sacrifice.
Man, that
You
takes me
start us
back. Played Salt and Sanctuary, the previous game, on my PS4 way back, way back when it came out. And I remember liking it a lot, but also feeling like it was janky. Like, it felt like a Flash game, you know? That was fine. Like, I enjoyed it enough. I never beat it. And I barely remember any of it. I just remember the art was really odd. And, like, I really disliked the art style myself. I found, like, the faces of the characters looked off-putting. And just the design. But, like, in a way, like, the creatures and the monster stuff kind of had a neat look to them. I don't know. I don't want to hate on art because, like, you know, everyone's got their own styles and their own thing. So I'm not saying it's bad, but it wasn't for me. I think this game will do fine. I'm still thinking more on the... I'm still thinking like 73.
73? Yeah. I
Yeah.
think... It's funny. I've heard a lot of people talk about Salt and Sanctuary and how much they like it. I've never actually seen the game, so I just did a Google of it. And you're right, this art is an acquired taste for sure.
I should have said that. That's a great way to put it.
That a taste that I have not yet acquired. I'll put it that way. What was your score? You said
73 is what I said, but I'm thinking that's even a little high. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with it.
I mean, I think like Salt and Sanctuary had a pretty devoted group of people who really liked it. And I think of the outlets who are going to go out of their way to review this one are probably going to be the ones who liked the first game, right? Because this is on the smaller side. So I'm going to say like a bit higher than you. I'm going to say like a 76.
Excuse me.
All right, this next one, I'm excited because this is another one of those ones that I think could totally go either way. Forspoken, the Square Enix RPG that's coming out soon, much more Western than like a Final Fantasy. It's got the woman kind of gets like isekai into a fantasy world. I don't think this game looks very good. I think it looks kind of stinky, to be completely honest.
Stinky. Expand your description there.
I don't know. It looks like just not. Maybe just not for me. Maybe it feels like a Western attempt at a Final Fantasy game, which isn't an inherently bad thing, but like it feels like it won't necessarily hit. Like, I feel like Western RPG fans aren't going to be the biggest fan of it, and I think JRPG fans also aren't going to be the biggest fan of it. So, I don't know. I'm going to go low on this one. I'm going to say, like, 72.
Okay. I'm the vibe I got was more of like maybe an open world third-person action game with, like, control kind of like gameplay, like combat mechanics. That's kind of like what I was feeling. And I'm gonna say I'm feeling 82.
82? All right. Yeah, the thing is, I could totally see this game coming out and people like clicking with it. But I just don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like, I think nothing it's shown to me has been like, whoa, that looks cool. Because a lot of it I feel like I've seen before, and it's not like an especially good iteration on.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Next game, Mario Strikers Battle League, recently announced follow up to the GameCube classic.
Woo!
Nick, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking 87.
87? Yeah, not
It's
much to say
looking
on this
like
one either. I'm going to say
a solid game.
85. Yeah, I agree. I think it looks solid. I think it looks better than the other Mario sports titles that have been releasing lately, which I think will give it a boost. But I think just having Mario in the name honestly gives it like a bit of a critical boost just for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, 85 feels right to me.
Then next, I guess we got Saints Row.
Saints Row, yeah. As it stands right now, from like the last trailers that I've seen, does not look very good.
It got delayed too. It was supposed to come out in February.
It got delayed
indefinitely, right?
And yeah, I think they have seen that people aren't really vibing with it. And so I think I think it'll be improved from what we've seen. But the big thing for me is that it just feels stuck between the humor and the vibe of the old games, which I think is pretty outdated by now. Like, I don't know how many people are going to be laughing at Saints Row humor in 2022.
Dildo bats. Never stop being funny. They never stop being funny.
Like that doesn't feel relevant, and it seems like it still has a lot of that, and its attempts at modernizing the vibe feel just like a little bit cringy to me. To me personally, I don't know if that's the vibe other people have been feeling. So I don't know. I don't know if it'll cater to either audience. Even if the game's really good, like I think vibe is a really important thing. Like you were saying with Borderlands, like even though on paper it's the better game, like something about that vibe that isn't really relevant anymore just makes it feel a little bit off-putting.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, just make it interesting. I think this game could be a real proper stinker. I'm gonna say like 67, just to make things interesting.
Oh, that's about what I was gonna say. I was gonna say 68, but I want to say even lower, just to make it even stinkier. I want to say 64. Okay.
All right, but honestly, Saints Row is the kind of game too where I could see it. Like if it does a Halo, because it got delayed indefinitely, I think, yeah. And it's like last time we saw it, it's like, ugh, I don't know. And then we see it like 8 months to a year from now, and it's like, oh, maybe like you might be onto something with this, but I don't know. I think the studio just hasn't proven themselves being able to, like, the fact that they've made kind of a couple mediocre Saints Row games, and then they made Agents of Mayhem.
That's
what the game was called. The least
So,
memorable game ever made. And this, like, as a follow up to those, it's like, we'll see.
Well, I feel like now, like more than ever, games have to be like amazing, or they have to do something totally different to catch someone's attention. And like what we saw so far wasn't either of those. It's like, oh, I've seen this game before, in a sense, or and you can't really know if it's amazing because you haven't played it yet. So it's like, really, you're just hoping on at least it's amazing to play this game, but from what we've seen, it just doesn't look like it would be that either. I said 64 on that one.
Okay. All right. Starfield. That's a big one. If you want my non-Metascore prediction on this game, it's not going to come out this year, but it's currently scheduled for November, right? Like 11/11. So I'm going to say, this one's hard. It's going to be better than Fallout 76.
Oh yeah.
Definitely better than 76. But Starfield kind of gives me the vibe, because it's a game, from what we understand, that has been in development. It's been in like an idea in their heads for decades, and has been in development for forever.
World building probably for a long time.
Yeah, which can either mean really good things, or it can mean terrible feature creep and like a loss of vision for what the game actually is. And And I don't know. I could see it going either way. It's hard to predict it when we have seen basically nothing about it, like just a couple CG trailers, right? Um, but I mean, but we can kind of guess what it will be. So,
Yeah, I mean, playing the Outer Worlds lately. Yeah, Outer Worlds. God damn, those names. Like playing Outer Worlds not too long ago, right? I was playing it and imagining if I was playing, Starfield, right, and what that would be like. And honestly, like even though Outer Worlds isn't like the most amazing game in the world either, it's like there's something. And again, I think this still goes along with what I was just saying before about how a game has to be really like amazing or do something different to stand out. I don't think Outer Worlds necessarily did either of those things, and I don't think it really stood out like to the mass audience. I think there's people who follow video games and they're aware of it being made more than anything. But I think that Starfield is going to be very similar to like Outer Worlds in the sense of like it's out, cool. People who love Bethesda are going to play it. And they're going to be stoked, and it's on Game Pass, so a lot more people will play it because of that. But for people who just want to have a game to explore and learn the lore and like loot objects and like try to kill the really tough like police people of the city because you're not supposed to because they're so strong or whatever the heck, pickpocket people. Like I feel like that's going to be the kind of game that you get to play, and I'm down to do that. And then I think just like what I was saying before about whether the game's buggy enough to where it breaks with what I was talking about with Weird West, it's like same thing. If it falls apart and they release it too early, it's going to get destroyed in reviews. And if it does well,
Yeah.
I think that they do a great job at world building, even in Fallout, right? Like having the different stories, the little backstories of characters and what the rules of the world are when it comes to tech and stuff. I think they'll do a good job.
Yeah, I think this will be one of those games kind of similar to like Dying Light 2 that just came out or something like that, where it's critical and user reception. I think there will be a pretty big gap between the two. Like Dying Light 2 game that came out for a lot of critics, like, yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's what I expected, and I forget what it has. I'm gonna guess. Actually, I want to look it up because I'm curious. Whereas like the user reception from what I've heard is like really, really good. People fucking love that game. I have some friends who will not stop talking about it.
I found it to be okay.
Yeah. Actually, never mind. I think I got review bombed for something because I don't know, people. But regardless, like that's kind of I've been getting at. I think this will be a similar thing. Like I don't know if critics are going to be going gaga over this one, but I feel like fans are going to like it. So because the critics, though, that's what matters on Metacritic. I'm gonna say 83. Positive, but not insane.
Yeah. I think I don't want to waste time on this, but come on, Nick, just say a number. I think that's a good guess. You know what? I want it to be amazing, and I think 83 is really good. I'm gonna say 85.
85, yeah.
Sorry. Just gonna
It's all good. All right, next one. Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl. I don't
I feel so
I think
uninformed.
it looks cool. Yeah, me too. I think because this is catering to a pretty hardcore fan base of the original games, I could see it being underwhelming to that core audience. And especially having seen some of the like controversies they've been in lately, I could see some of that like being a bad sign, like the whole NFT thing and all that. Been delayed a lot, which is also either a good thing or a bad thing. I'm gonna say for reviewers though, even if it hits well on fans, I think similar to Starfield, I think even if it hits hard with fans, reviewers are like being the Euro jank game that it is, like it's gonna be buggy as shit. It's it's gonna be probably kind of inaccessible. And so I think for reviewers, they're maybe gonna be like, "Eesh" on it. So I'm gonna say 71.
I'm gonna say 66.
66.
Because I really think, like, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because we have so many to go through. Oh my god. But it's like, when I think of this game, I think this is going to be one of those games that come out, get a bad score, get fixed, have updates and whatever, and it's like more of like, this on like updated game like that people really enjoy and be like, oh, have you played this game that you've totally forgot existed? And you got to try this one. It's pretty fun. It's on Game Pass, so you got to try it. That kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it's launching on Game Pass. That could give it a bit of a bump, in terms of player reception at least. But yeah. Okay, next one, Bayonetta 3. Ooh, people love their Bayonetta. I should play Bayonetta. I've never actually finished any of those games.
Seems like a you type of game.
Absolutely is. But I feel like reception for these trailers has been somewhat mixed between fans. It's hard. I'm gonna say, as a kind of uninformed opinion though, 85, 80, 80, 85.
I'm gonna say 78.
78. All right. Next one. This is a big one. Breath of the Wild 2.
Botwa 2?
Botwa 2. What do you think, Nick?
I mean, it's gotta do as good as the previous one, right? We did happen to look
so?
that one up earlier, so I mean, well, no, not actually, but I mean, you would hope, like, from what the feeling I get when I play it, you would hope it's the same. But
I think there's a good chance it will be just as good. In terms of reviews, though, there's been that classic Zelda thing where, Zelda games either are like, we hate this, and over time people love it, or they go, this is amazing, and over time people hate it. And right now I feel like we're in the downswing where I feel like there's a lot of Breath of the Wild slander out there. A lot of people are like, it's overrated, it's not as good as people said it was. They just like it because it's Zelda.
I mean, there's a lot of
people
wrong people.
Critics.
There's a lot of wrong people. That's fine.
There absolutely is. And I think that, in addition to the fact that it's a sequel, so that, like, holy shit, this is what Zelda can be thing won't be quite as strong in a sequel. I'm gonna it feels a little funny saying, it's only this, but I'm gonna say like a 90.
What? I feel like those people that are like, yeah, Breath of the Wild isn't that amazing, are the kind of people that are like, Horizon's climbing is amazing. It's so much better now in Forbidden West. And you're like, oh my god, it looks like trash still. Come on, guys.
People being salty over broken weapons.
Yeah. I think this game will be at least a 94, so I'm going to say 95.
95? All right. God of War Ragnarok. Another very similar thing, I would say, where first game, amazingly received. Second game looks to be definitely a sequel. So I think even if it's as good in quality, I don't know if it's going to hit the same level critically, because it seems like it's doing a lot of the same things. But I also think there's a chance we're not seeing the whole game. Like, knowing how, like, unafraid they were to do wild shit in the first game, I could totally see them doing some of the same kind of wild shit in the second game. Like how, maybe it's not worth spoiling it. There's some very cool moments in that first game that were not at all marketed or shown or anything. Like, some pretty cool surprises that change the whole dynamic of the game. And I could see those being there in Ragnarok, and I could definitely see that giving it a big bump. I'm going to say high 80s, like 80, 88.
Yeah, I think God of War, was it 2016 or 2017?
2018, I think.
What? It's such a blur, man. Oh my god. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was 2018. You're right. What am I thinking? Anyways, it had
first one got a 94 on Metacritic, is worth saying.
Okay. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. But, like, it had such a shock factor when it came out. People, like, were shocked in so many ways every time. It was, like, one of those first third-person, story-driven games that came out on the PS4. Like, I know we had Last of Us right? But
Mhm.
other than that, and I'm sure people could say Uncharted stuff, but I feel like for me at least, like this was the game that really started making me go, oh, okay, this is like what like this is like establishing like another tentpole that was like down and going like this is what Sony does
Mhm.
really well, right? And I remember just being like really really impressed with this one and really on my PS4 being like this is like my favorite game I've ever played on this thing, other than
Mhm.
Bloodborne, but for different reasons, right?
Yeah.
So I think there was a lot of shock, and then of course people who like and like me knowing the other God of War games and going, "What? They're doing it like this? This is weird." Then you have
Mhm.
like the shock, and then as you're playing through the game, the shock of like unlocking another type of weapon and like other things happening throughout the game, the story and like the way characters get revealed and like the depth of certain characters and who they are and what they do and all that stuff is very very cool, right? So I think that whole journey of being surprised, it's like as long as they can continue that, it'll do great. But I think that a lot is lost on a sequel for sure.
Mhm.
So I agree. I think it would be lower. I don't see how it could be more because of that.
Yeah.
Even if it plays and is better and has more in the game, I still think that like that surprise factor is gone. Um, Damn, I think 88's really good. I want to say it's. I don't think it's gonna hit the 90s. So I'm with you on that. I'm gonna just say 86.
86. All right. Yeah, I agree. It's funny. I don't have any attachment to the God of War franchise, so that shock doesn't hit like me that hard. But yeah, when I try to like compare it to something that I'm familiar with, like Devil May Cry, like if Devil May Cry 6 is like Nero and Virgil having like a thoughtful and slow story about them like rekindling their father son relationship and like I don't
Hmm.
know, something like that. Like that would be so fucking mind blowing to me, especially if it was actually good. Um yeah, I agree. The shock of it is a big one. Right, here's another one that my guess would be not coming out this year is Hogwarts Legacy, which is I believe dated for 2022. I don't see this being good. Just to make it spicy, I'm gonna say 64.
I'm gonna say it's not coming out this year, and I'm gonna say 50.
50, dang.
Yeah,
I
I think
like
there's
it
too much
spicy.
negativity around this. I don't think it's gonna do good.
Yeah. And people are like way more critical of the Harry Potter franchise than they've ever
I
been
don't think it's
before as
coming out.
well. At all?
I think it'll get canceled.
I think that's not a bad guess, honestly.
I think WB
All right,
has
next
enough
one.
other stuff coming out. Okay, sorry.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesus,
continue.
yeah. All right. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is the next one. I want to look at what the first game got.
No, no, don't do it. Just guess. Come
All
on.
right, fine,
Come
fine,
on.
fine. People like the first one, but I feel like same with God of War, a lot of that was surprise. So 84.
81.
I think it's gonna be just as good. But yeah, shock value's in there. Neon White. Do you know what this game is?
The name sounds familiar, but I can't remember.
It's the one by the guy who made the game that I'm forgetting. But it's with like the cards and the shooting. It's the indie game. I think
Oh,
Devolver's
okay.
publishing
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, indie games generally get scored lower, but I think
I'm
it's
trying to
gonna
see what
have
it
a
is
good
to make sure.
following. 78 is my guess.
Oh, yeah, this game. I did not look up the Metacritic. I just looked up Google Images. And there's a lot of symbols. That's how you know I'm telling the truth. um, what was your score? 78?
Yeah.
And 76 for me.
Right. Well, he was the guy who made Donut County that is making Neon White, I think. Or something
Really?
like that. Yeah, I
I
remember it
was
was a weird one. Oh my god, who is it? I'm trying to Google it. Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. Wait, no, here we go. Ben Esposito. Yeah, he made Donut County. Um, so very cool little switcheroo on that one. What was your score?
I think I said 76. I'll go 74 instead though.
74. All right.
Yeah.
Next one, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2. I think it's gonna rate higher than the first one. I didn't look up the first one, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be pretty high, especially since I think people are willing to be extra optimistic towards a Xbox first party game in this style. So I'm gonna say 89.
I'm nervous, dude. I really want this game to do well. Because I liked the first one. It didn't resonate with me like it did a lot of people. I liked the combat and I enjoyed the puzzles, but I did find a lot of the game to be lacking in some way. Uh, I
Suddenly, I'm
just
second guessing myself.
I'm listening to or when I watched the gameplay, I was like, this looks like a cutscene with QuickTime events. It didn't look like gameplay, and so I'm really unsure what the game is going to be when you're playing through it. Like, I'm curious, is this open world or is this like, a path like through levels?
To be
Is
fair,
this
the Last
exploration
of Us 2
and
gameplay trailer looked like that as well. I think so. I think a lot of that is just like really good
no,
contextual animations.
I don't agree. I really like watching the Hellblade one back. It truly looked like you did not have to move your character. Like, I really don't think. I think The Last of Us Part 2, like, you go up, stop, lay down, crawling under. Like, there's a little bit more. Whereas, like, Hellblade, it was like everything's moving constantly. Da, 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 you're moving left, looking
Yeah.
right, you're looking up, and then it's like, you felt like there was just UI missing, and that's about
I think
it.
some of that is because of the gameplay style. But yeah, regardless.
Regardless,
Um,
I mean, I just don't see what the game is yet, so I'm really unsure with it. So I'm going to actually say lower score just because I don't know, and I think visually it'll be very impressive, but I'm just not sure it'll hit there. So I'm going to say 78.
Yeah, I'm suddenly I kind of forgot how niche the first game was. Where I think it's incredible, but it is very simple gameplay wise and quite short. Which I do think will be improved in the second game. But I think for a lot of people it might still not hit in quite in the same way. I think people who like the first game are gonna like the second game even more. But I do think there's gonna be a lot
Yeah.
of critics who don't necessarily vibe with this. I'm gonna lower mine to like 84. All right, next game, Somerville, which is the game developed by Jump Ship, which was founded by the guy who jumped ship from Playdead, who made Limbo and Inside. So it's half the core development team of Limbo and Inside making their own thing. It looks very similar. I think this game's going to be really good. Inside and Limbo reviewed very well. I think this game is going to be on a similar level of quality, especially because I think there's a lot of fans for those games. I'm going to say 89.
I think it's going to do good as well.
I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous to crack that 90 mark, honestly.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to say 92.
Oh, shit. All right, next one, Sonic Frontiers. I have no fucking
97.
clue how this game is going to be received. I could see it being
could
high
be.
80s. Like, if people really, really vibe with it, I
No.
don't think that's going to happen. I think that's unlikely. But, like, God, this game more than any other on this list could be, like, from fucking 50 to, like, 87, somewhere in between there, you know?
No, depending on what they do, it could be in the 90s. Like, it's just, you'd be stupid to say that. Not saying you're stupid if you choose that, but, based off of track record of other Sonic games, it just it logically doesn't make sense to put it up there.
I don't necessarily see Sonic Team having the stuff to pull that off. I'm going to be optimistic on this one, though. I think people are coming around on Sonic. Sonic is more popular than he's been in a long, long time right now. And I'm going to say 80, like mid to low 80s. I'm going to say 84.
79.
79. I feel like this game's going to come out and it's going to be, what the hell did I just do? This game's going to come out and people are going to like despise it, and I'm going to be eating my words pretty hard. All right, next one, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Why don't you start us off in this one?
Yeah, this game looks. Wait, did we see gameplay? I feel like we saw snippets,
Yes,
right?
yeah, we did. Yeah.
Um, I I'm not excited for this game, but I also don't think it's coming out this year. I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. I feel like I heard that somewhere. But anyways, if it does, this one's just such a guess with like how little we've seen of it. Like a lot of the games I guess we've just talked about. 73 sounds good.
73, yeah. I feel like if Rocksteady's name wasn't attached to this, there would be like next to zero hype for it. Because I think that like that first cinematic trailer caught my eye pretty heavily.
Yeah,
And then everything
same.
we've seen afterwards was like, yeah, I mean, it looks fine. And I especially think if they kind of add some like, I think people are kind of tired of co-op superhero games at this point. It seems like people are mostly wanting that like great single player like Spider-Man style game from superhero games. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna do amazing.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
gonna
no one.
say 78 personally. What'd you say?
I was gonna say, well, no, after the Batman Arkham Knights or whatever, which isn't that supposed to be this year? I don't. Did we?
I think so.
That's not on our list.
Maybe. Yeah.
I thought. See, I thought
It's
that was
not.
supposed to be this. It's not.
Let me look it up. I was good. As I said, it's not on the
Oh.
list.
I'm pretty sure that. I think that it was supposed to come out this year, and I think Suicide Squad got delayed. If that's where that's what I remember. Maybe I'm wrong. Are you looking up Arkham Knights?
Yes. Release date 2022. It says yeah. All right. So I guess we can add this one in as well for our predictions. Gotham Arkham Knights. All right. What was your number for Suicide Squad?
God. I think I said 73.
Okay. Arkham Knights, I think, is going to be worse. I don't think this game looks good at all. 74. 70. Yeah, 74. I think some people are going to click with it.
I think it'll do a bit better actually than Suicide Squad, but I'm not based off devs, just purely off of what most people will enjoy topic related. I also like the gameplay doesn't look that great. I agree with you on that. But I think that it could be fun. It just depends on what they do with it. I don't think I've seen enough of it either. I'm gonna give that one a bit
I
more
could see DC
positivity.
fans liking it.
I'm gonna say 79. No, 78. Whoop. Wrong cursor spot.
All right. Next one, the Callisto Protocol. That's that Dead Space
Yeah.
spiritual successor. I'm going to let you take the lead on this one.
I'm super stoked for this. I really want to see how it does, especially against the Dead Space remake, because that'll be very interesting to see. I obviously we haven't seen any gameplay, so again, like me being a huge Dead Space fan, I will just be very positive on it and say, like they have core team members that worked on those games, so
Yeah.
that you have to that's got to mean something, right? They want the feeling. And I just believe in what is his name? Is it? I don't remember the guy's name. I wish I could. I forget every single time because I'm pretty sure his name sounds like or is the same as someone from Prison Break, and I always get worried that I'm gonna mess something up there. But anyways, he's really talented for sure and has a huge passion for Dead Space when he was working on it, and I believe in him, and I'm going to say this game is going to be a 89.
89. Yeah. Honestly, I think there is so much potential for this game to be really, really fucking good. And yeah, like you said, we haven't seen much, but we know who's working on it and they have a great track record. Part of, for me, what makes me so excited is I don't know if you've watched, I think it's the No Clip documentaries about Dead
Yeah,
Space.
that's what I'm basing it
'Cause
off of. Yeah.
Yeah, because it seems
Or my
like
feelings
there's
on the guy.
so much that they wanted to do with Dead Space, but just because of hardware limitations, couldn't yet. But now they can. Like, we're on a whole new generation, and all those crazy ass ideas they had before are possible, and that's so exciting to me that they have so much like untapped ideas ready to go. So yeah, I think this game could totally be amazing. Um,
Glenn Schofield, that's who I'm thinking of.
I'm gonna say 89 would have been my pick. So I'm gonna say 88.
Okay.
Next one is the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, which is the it has been said to be a re-release of the Stanley Parable, though I feel like me and most other people who've been following it would say it's probably going to be more than just a re-release. It kind of looks like it's going to be more of a sequel at this point, especially with how much it's been in development. I think it's hard on this one because I think the game is going to be very, 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 very good. But similar to what we were saying before, part of what made the Stanley Parable be such a success the first time was because we hadn't seen a game like that before. But at this point, that style of meta storytelling is a little bit more of a thing. Like Undertale has done that, Doki Doki Literature Club has done that. I don't think they've done it as well, personally. I'd like the Stanley Parable is such a cool breakdown of like in the interactive medium as a whole. But again, I think it's a small enough game that the people who are reviewing it are the people who really like the Stanley Parable. So I'm going to say it's going to be high. I'm going to say 88.
88. Well, I enjoyed the game, the first or whatever. So is this an expansion on it, the first one, or is this like a remake, or is this like adding more to the?
Really know. We don't really know. It's been marketed as the Stanley Parable plus more on new consoles, but this game got announced 3+ years ago, I want to say.
Yeah, it feels like I've been hearing about it for a long time.
Yeah, so it's pretty clear it's more than just that, and knowing the developer, knowing this, like what the Stanley Parable is, it's not just a remaster.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this game's going to be really, really good. But I do think I'm curious about how many people will review it too, which could make the score higher. But like, yeah, not knowing whether it's like what it is exactly like makes me wonder like just how many places are going to be like reviewing it and giving like a score, or just like being like, is this going to get clicks in the first place? you know what I mean? I'm gonna say, I feel like it should be in the 80s for sure. I'm going to say, though, on the lower side, I'm going to say 82.
82? Yeah. Yeah, I think 80s is a safe bet. All right. And on a similar note as the Callisto Protocol, we've got Dead Space Remake. Nick, what are you thinking for this?
I'm so excited. I think this game, if they just add to it and they add a bunch of great features and they don't really change too much for the negative, like, the first game is legitimately fantastic. It has some old stuff to it, and like you have some fair criticisms of the game when you've played it. But I do think overall, like for a package of like when it came out, that thing, and with the like what we knew at that time when it came out in 2008, like that game was amazing, and it still has a lot of that amazing stuff in it, and it still feels great in some ways, and I think it still has a fun story, and I think it's still pretty original in terms of like not necessarily theme, like aliens in space. Whoa, that's unique. But in terms of like a horror game that like did its own thing, having like the UI that's like all within game, and like having pretty much like all of that was like really unique, and I don't see enough games pulling like some of their features still. And I think that it's just such a solid game that if they modernize it and they do add, the dismemberment, adding different layers of flesh like they were talking about, and having reason behind different weapons, a little bit more reason behind different weapons, adding the Dead Space 2 Zero Gravity to areas that the first game Zero Gravity was really terrible, getting rid of some of the jank and some of the other stuff. I think this game can't be terrible if they don't make it terrible, right? Just make it better, polish it up. So I feel like I'm going to put in 89 as well, just like Callisto Protocol, because I'm so curious to see which one does better.
Yeah,
What about
no,
you?
I think there's so much love for the first game, and yeah, like when I criticized it, most of my criticisms were just age related, and so a remake that fixes those age related issues, especially since it's a full on remake, not just a re release. I think it has potential to be a absolute fucking banger, especially since it seems like survival horror is a lot more in fashion right now than it's been for like a while. Um, yeah, I'm gonna say what I said in Callisto Protocol as well. 88.
Nice. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. All right, we did it. So
There it
that's
is.
our
Yeah,
predictions.
we probably missed some games, but that's okay. If games get announced in the year, do we want to just like write numbers in if we remember to, stuff like that, and then go over it at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think that's what we did for last year as well. Like we didn't make it into a
Okay.
topic or anything like that. We just kind of fill it in, and then we'll make sure we talk about it at the end of the year, like you said.
Okay. Sick.
Cool.
Actually, one I just remembered out of nowhere, Switch Sports is coming out.
Oh
Real quick,
yeah.
let's bust that one out. Switch Sports. I'm gonna say, uh, it's gonna be on the lower end. The recent development where the open ish beta, like open to the public beta that they released. You're not allowed to talk about it or post screenshots or anything on social media, which to me makes me nervous. That makes me like, if
Yeah, what the
they
heck?
were confident in the game, they would want people talking about it, right?
Yeah.
So that makes me a little nervous. It's like the kind of thing, I love Wii Sports, but rewatching that trailer, even though it's hyped in the moment, now I'm like, this doesn't look as good as I was maybe hoping it would be, especially since it only has like 6 sports on launch.
It looks
Um,
fine. It looks fine.
I think it looks fine. I think it's gonna be a solid like Mario Tennis tier game though, so I'm gonna say like 74.
I'm gonna say 76.
76.
76.
Great minds think alike. All right,
Yeah.
and that's it for real this time.